Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The United States District Court for the Western District of Michigan is now in session. The Honorable Paul L. Maloney, Chief United States District Judge presiding. All those having business before this court, draw near, give attention, and you shall be heard. God save these United States and this honorable court. Court is now in session.
Please remain standing for the national anthem. Please remain standing while our invocation is given by Attorney Lance Jones. Mr. Jones.
Let us pray. Almighty God, author of human existence and arbiter of what is right and good, thank you for your many blessings on this nation and community. We gather today to ask your blessing on your servant, Patrick A. Miles, Jr. You have guided Patrick to this place as a leader among lawyers, an advocate for business and prosperity, and trusted advisor of charitable organizations, educational institutions, and community groups. Patrick has now been called by his president and confirmed by voices across this land to serve his country and community as a United States Attorney for the Western District of Michigan. Fill him with passion and compassion as he stands for the people in the halls of justice. Strengthen him to serve with the intellect and integrity that he has shown in every facet of his life, with the kindness and humility that is the living legacy of his family and his faith. And inspire us all, Lord, as people of goodwill, to labor for justice every day in our neighborhoods and in our nation. For we are reminded by an American prophet that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you. Welcome to all in attendance here today for this historic and auspicious occasion, investing Patrick A. Miles to the position of United States Attorney for the Western District of Michigan. It is my privilege to preside at this special court session, accompanied by many of my colleagues who serve you on the federal district courts, bankruptcy courts, and our magistrate judges in our district. We are honored by the participation here this afternoon of the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, who I will formally introduce in a few moments. General Holder, we welcome you to the district and thank you for being here. In addition, Senator Debbie Stabenow is also here, and Senator, it's always good to see you. We thank you for being here, and Mr. Miles will introduce the Senator a little later. I do want to acknowledge the presence of my colleagues who serve on the district and bankruptcy courts, as well as two of our magistrate judges. First, the Honorable Robert Holmes Bell, the Honorable Robert J. Yonker, the Honorable Janet T. Neff. The Honorable Gordon Quist is involved in a jury trial right now, jury selection in the Grand Rapids Courthouse. He is unable to be here, but he sends his best to Pat and all who are assembled. Also present here today is Magistrate Judge Joseph Scoville, Magistrate Judge Ellen Carmody, and bankruptcy judges Jeffrey Hughes and Scott Dales. We have several individuals in the audience here today who are present to see Mr. Miles' investiture ceremony, who have previously served as United States attorneys in our district. We have two former United States attorneys who were presidentially appointed and confirmed by the Senate, Mr. James Brady and Mr. John Smetanka. And there are 5 other distinguished lawyers who have served as either acting, interim, or court-appointed United States attorneys: Mr. Robert Green, Mr. Donald Davis, Mr. Thomas Gazan, Mr. Philip Green, and Mr. Brian Delaney. The United States Marshal for the Western District of Michigan, Pete Munoz, is also here somewhere in the audience. His people are in charge of security here today, so he might be doing security duties at the present time, but we welcome the Marshal here. Thank you, Marshal, very much. On behalf of all the judges of the Western District of Michigan, I welcome Pat Miles to his position as Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer in the Western District of Michigan. The United States Attorney's Office in the Western District and the judiciary have a long history of close cooperation in the administration of the criminal justice system in our district. The judges have every expectation that Pat Miles' tenure as United States Attorney will continue in that fine tradition. Pat, I know I speak for all the judges when I say that we wish you only the best as you embark upon your duties as United States Attorney. You lead a distinguished cadre of assistant United States attorneys who have the full confidence of the bench to execute their duties skillfully, fully mindful of their legal and ethical obligations, consistent with the time-tested traditions of the United States Department of Justice. We are confident that you will serve the citizens of the Western District of Michigan with distinction. We offer our congratulations on your appointment and look forward to working with you. Congratulations, Pat. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Attorney General of the United States. Eric H. Holder, Jr. was sworn in as the 82nd Attorney General of the United States on February 3, 2009, by Vice President Joe Biden. He is the first African-American Attorney General. In 1997, Mr. Holder was named by President Clinton to the position of Deputy Attorney General, the first African American to hold that post as well. Prior to that time, he served as United States Attorney in the District of Columbia. Mr. Holder is a native of New York City, attending public schools there, and after graduation from high school, he attended Columbia College, majoring in American history and graduating in 1973. 3 years later, he graduated from Columbia Law School. Immediately after law school graduation, he joined the Department of Justice as part of the Attorney General's Honors Program, assigned to the newly formed, at that time, Public Integrity Section in 1976, whose task it is to investigate and prosecute official corruption on the local and state level. Prior to becoming Attorney General in 2009, Mr. Holder was litigation partner at Covington & Burlington in Washington, D.C. It's my privilege to introduce to you the Attorney General of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chief Judge, for those kind words. And I thank you all for that very warm welcome. This doesn't feel like Washington, D.C. at all. It's, it really is a pleasure for me to be here in Grand Rapids and a privilege to join with so many distinguished guests, colleagues, supporters, and friends as we celebrate the latest achievement in the remarkable career of our good friend, Pat Miles, and mark his official investiture as the newest United States Attorney for the Western District of Michigan. I'd like to also say hello to a good friend, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan, Barb McQuaid, who is right here with us, yes, as well as Senator Stabenow, a wonderful senator and a great friend of the Justice Department, a person who we can always count on in law enforcement to have our backs when it comes to resources, when it comes to policy matters. Senator Stabenow has always been there for us, and it's a pleasure to see you again, Senator Stabenow. This is obviously a proud day for Pat, for his family, including his parents and his sister who are here with us this afternoon, as well as his Aunt Eileen, who I understand is a special fan of mine, which is... He was telling me about you earlier. We'll talk at the end of the ceremonies. But this is a proud day, not only for them, but for this district as well. It's also an historic day for the state of Michigan as we swear in the first African-American United States Attorney to serve the Western District. And although this is a special occasion for all of us, I'm sure that anyone who has gotten to know Pat over the years will tell you that there's one thing that today's celebration is not, and that is, it is not a surprise. Pat grew up here in Western Michigan. He's a graduate of Ottawa Hills High School and Aquinas College, and for decades he has been known around Grand Rapids as the tall guy with the big smile, and also with the big car. He doesn't just know his neighbors, he cares about them. All his life he's proven his willingness to use his energy and his skills to assist those in need. And throughout his career, he has worked tirelessly to improve the community that he's always been proud to call home. He continues to honor the values of family, faith, hard work, and integrity that he learned from his parents. And he continues to heed their advice to dream big, to dare greatly, and to do all that you can to help those who are in need. It's only natural that Pat's extraordinary career as an attorney and as a leader would bring him to this moment, into such a critical and distinguished office. It's to be expected that a lifelong trailblazer who has demonstrated an unparalleled work ethic and singular fidelity to the law, to his family, and to the principles that define our nation's justice system would be called upon by the President of the United States to serve the country and the community that he loves so dearly. Now, make me no mistake, this is a very, very rare honor. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that is afforded to only the most qualified and most dedicated men and women at the pinnacle of the legal profession. But as we've seen repeatedly over the course of Pat's life, that's exactly That is exactly who he is. During his time in private practice, Pat set a standard of excellence from the day that he, along with another ambitious young man named Barack Obama, graduated from Harvard Law School. They seem to do pretty well. He began his career right here in Grand Rapids. Wrong state. In Grand Rapids as an associate at Varnum, Rittering, Schmidt, and Howlett. At the young age of 29, he became a partner and the first African American to attain such a position in the firm's 110-year history. Beyond his professional successes and the numerous state and national accolades that he's received, Pat has consistently inspired his colleagues with his lifelong commitment to charity, his tireless dedication to his community, and his unwavering devotion to helping those who are in need. From his involvement in more than 24 charities, professional boards, and committees, to his work as a volunteer mentor to young adults throughout this area, Pat has demonstrated the power of civic engagement. His work as an attorney and his outreach as a passionate citizen have left a lasting, positive impact on those around him. At every opportunity, he has built a legacy of service using the power of the law not only to advance the cause of justice, but to improve communities and to assist and to empower individuals throughout this region. As we administer the oath of office to him today, there can be no question that Pat is well suited, and he is superbly qualified to lead this United States Attorney's Office, to draw upon his experience and his expertise in advancing its critical work, and to extend the tradition of service that has always been the hallmark of the dedicated men and women in the Western District of Michigan. Now, earlier today, I had the pleasure of visiting with many of the talented attorneys, investigators, and support staffers, including somebody who I want to really mention, Don Davis, who served for 4 years as a sound steward of this office. Yes. I met with these talented people who Pat will now have the honor of serving alongside. From protecting Americans from violent crime to prosecuting those who commit financial fraud, from safeguarding the most vulnerable among us to enforcing critical civil rights laws for every citizen, each of them is making a lasting and a powerful difference to communities across and far beyond Western Michigan. And they all are part of a very diverse Justice Department family that stands every day on the front lines of some of the most critical and challenging work in all of government. As we continue to build upon these recent successes, I will rely on Pat to help the department fulfill its core mission of protecting the American people and to advance the priorities for the office that he has shared with me by strengthening public outreach, by focusing his office on proactive investigations and prosecutions relating to organized crime, financial and healthcare fraud, national security matters, and crimes in Indian country, by bringing accountability to those who violate the public trust, and by defending the essential civil rights of all. Despite the challenges that lie before us and the difficult work that in so many ways remains unfinished, I have every confidence that Pat's great energy and keen intellect, as well as his exceptional skills and his inclusive leadership style, will undoubtedly serve this office and this district extremely well. Pat, I'd like to thank you once again for your lifelong commitment to serving your community, your state, and your country. As you embark on the next chapter of your distinguished career, know that you have the full support and the unwavering gratitude of the Justice Department's senior leadership, starting with me. We wish you nothing but the very best, and we are all counting on you to help bring about positive change and lasting progress for the people that you are so privileged to serve. Thank you.
You want to do it right hand. I, Patrick Allen Miles, Jr., do solemnly affirm
I, Patrick Allen Miles, Jr., do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of United States Attorney.
the duties of the office of United States Attorney.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good to see you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. When we decided to do the ceremony here, I didn't realize from my memory of attending here, but when the principal told me that this auditorium seats 1,068 people, I thought, oh my goodness. But we have a great turnout here. We have about 500 people here, so I'm just so glad that so many of you are here today. Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Thank you for your remarks. Very humbling. I really appreciate you joining us here today. We are very, very privileged to have you here today. We know your schedule, so thank you very much. Chief Judge Maloney, thank you for presiding here today and for all of your gracious comments. And to all of our judges, thank you very much for your service and for being here today. I thank the elected officials that are here today and the tribal leaders. I see many of you. There are just too many to recognize individually, but I really do appreciate you taking your time to be here as well. And I also want to, again, give special thanks to Ottawa Hills High School and to Principal Rodney Lewis for their hospitality in letting us use their auditorium. And of course, I very much appreciate each of you being here today. It means a lot to me to see so many friends and colleagues and family, including Ann Eileen, who would have been here even if I wasn't here, just to see the Attorney General. I'm just incidental to this. But no, it means a lot to have you all here. And I also want to give special thanks to all the staff people from our office who worked so hard on this event. They did a great job, and thank you for doing that. It gives me a humbled heart to have the honor to serve as your United States Attorney. I'm grateful to President Obama for this appointment and for his trust in bestowing this vital position on me. I'm grateful to the United States Senate for confirming my nomination, and to our great Michigan senators, Senator Carl Levin and Senator Debbie Stabenow, in particular, for their support and for their service to this great state. Senator Stabenow, as you can see, is here today, and she will give some remarks when I finish in a couple hours. And again, I thank Attorney General Holder for his outstanding leadership and for his service to this nation. I'm very excited to be part of his team and Department of Justice. Each day, I give thanks to God. I'm thankful he gave me wonderful parents and a loving, supporting family. I learned the importance of faith, selfless love, integrity, education, and service from my mom and dad. And from many of you here today, I learned many important life lessons. So I consider myself to be very, very blessed. When we look around, we can see that West Michigan is also very blessed. We have a wise and experienced bench, a very collegial and ethical bar, a strong community spirit, and a wonderful natural resources. The Western District of Michigan has 49 of the 83 Michigan counties, including the entire Upper Peninsula and the state capital of Lansing. It covers 700 miles from the southern border to the northwest border. That's over 35,000 square miles. The district has 11 federally recognized Native American tribes, and we have 3.4 million people who live in this district. The Western District is diverse, and that diversity among our people and among our resources reflects this nation's tapestry. We have aging and renewing urban cities, growing suburbs and large rural areas. We have heavy industrial manufacturing and high-tech research. We have vast farms on fertile soil, shipping lanes in 3 of the Great Lakes, and mines in the hard Michigan rocks. We are a hardworking people, committed to leaving a better Michigan to our children. We were given much, and much is expected. And that's not just a saying, it's a calling. And people here live it. We understand that everyone must work to preserve, protect, and defend the treasures that we hold dear and that we've been given. Those who violate that social compact, whether wearing a mask and brandishing a weapon, or wearing a suit and carrying a pen, must be brought to justice. This job allows me to help do that. It also forces me to see everything through the lens of justice. A couple of weeks ago, our U.S. Attorney Office in West Michigan worked with the United States Marine Corps, and we hosted a ceremony honoring 4 Grand Rapids men, 2 posthumously, who were among the first African Americans to serve in the U.S. Marines during World War II. These 4 Montford Point Marines received the Congressional Gold Medal this summer, the highest American civilian award, but they weren't able to attend the formal award ceremony in Washington, D.C. So we held one here to honor them and to hear their story. While in a segregated boot camp and in the service, they endured hardships for their country. They made sacrifices in blood, sweat, and tears, not only fighting, but just for the opportunity to fight for others. Some of those they were fighting for were denying them equal treatment and rights, but they did it anyway, for the love of country and others. The same was true of the Tuskegee Airmen, who fought courageously over the skies of Italy and Germany during World War II. And also during World War II, Japanese Americans enlisted in the U.S. Armed Forces, and they fought in Europe and elsewhere, while many of their families were subject to internment in American detention camps. One Japanese American unit, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, was the most highly decorated regiment in the history of the U.S. Armed Forces and had 22 Medal of Honor recipients. So as I stood before the 2 surviving Montford Point Marines in my office, I reflected on these incredible stories of sacrifice and selflessness. And then I thought about justice. Not just about the injustices that these men faced, but about the essence of justice and its opposite. And I realized that every crime is based in selfishness. Conversely, if everyone was truly selfless, no laws would ever be broken, and we wouldn't need criminal law. Okay, hold on. The civil lawyers, we still would need you. And we'd still need judges, so don't start walking out. But a shorter and more powerful word for selflessness is love. In my Christian faith, love is the overarching message and the overriding commandment. It is, in my opinion, the meaning of life. To demonstrate one's ability to be a loving person, and that is not easy. Sometimes just talking about love is ridiculed. It's hard to sacrifice for a stranger. It's difficult to care about people who are from a different race, ethnicity, religion, or culture. But I believe that is why each of us was made different. So we can learn to love each other despite differences. Loving others doesn't mean one has a bleeding heart that is weak or soft. It means you're strong enough to care for others and are willing to bleed for them. It's obvious that love leads to peace. Justice also leads to peace. Therefore, love equals justice. Think about e pluribus unum, out of many one, an American motto from our nation's birth. This nation was built to be diverse and to be united, to care about each other, to have a shared destiny, to love peace, to seek justice, to live free. These things make us strong. They made us the greatest nation in the history of the world. It is a truism that without justice, there is no peace. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who among other achievements, of course, he authored the appropriately named book, Strength to Love. It's one of my dad's favorites. And it does take strength to love. He once said, peace, it's not the absence of war, it's the presence of justice. When I was in D.C. last week for the U.S. Attorney orientation, I noticed an inscription over an entrance to the Department of Justice building in Washington, D.C. It says, quote, "Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as it first resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens." So justice is in the same place where love is. It's in the heart and soul. The ancient Egyptians, they knew this too. They believed that sun god Ra's daughter Ma'at, and that's etymologically the source of the word magistrate. Ma'at helped Osiris judge the dead by weighing their hearts on the scales of justice. So justice must be in the heart and soul of every American, especially those in law and in law enforcement. I've been a U.S. Attorney now for 2 months. I took office on 7/9, and now it's 9/7. I love this job. I love that justice is both the name and the mission of the department I now work in, and that Attorney General Holder so ably leads. It's said that good prosecutors get convictions, but great ones get justice. Pursuing justice requires strength, requires vigor, requires commitment. I consider myself to be a pragmatic idealist. My idealistic nature seeks love and justice. My pragmatic nature works to get there. As to the pragmatic goals for this office, we're creating a new strategic plan that emphasizes clear objectives and accountabilities. We're forming task forces to be proactive in preventing and prosecuting crimes in a variety of areas. And yes, we can help prevent crimes in this office through education, outreach into the community, and deterrence. Those are part of the mission of this office, in my opinion. In this regard, our attorneys will work with the investigative agencies, with local law enforcement, and communities to get closer to the ground from the start to prevent and prosecute crimes. This isn't unusual to us here. Collaboration is a West Michigan value. We work together to get things done. The office, we're going to continue focusing on vigorously prosecuting and preventing violent and organized crimes, financial frauds, child exploitation, anti-terrorism, and drug trafficking. But we're also going to put more resources into healthcare fraud cases, public corruption cases, and enforcing federal civil rights laws. This office has some excellent, hard-working attorneys and staff. I'm already impressed with their abilities and their dedication. And aside from having the best and most talented attorneys in the Western District of Michigan office, I want my legacy as U.S. Attorney to be that we achieved our goals and increased diversity and inclusion in the office. Thank you. I also want to be an advocate for effective prisoner reentry programs. If one of the objectives of incarceration is rehabilitation, then we owe it to the American taxpayers and citizens to prevent 40% of federal prisoners and 2/3 of state prisoners from committing additional crimes and returning to prison within 2 years after their release. This means access to services to address addiction and mental health issues, strong community resources, and employment opportunities. This effort takes collaboration, and this office will be a great promoter of that work. Now, we have a number of Grand Rapids Public High School students here today, and I'm a product, as the Attorney General mentioned, of the Grand Rapids Public Schools and a proud graduate of this high school, Ottawa Hills. Students, I walked these halls and I sat in these classrooms. I shot baskets in the gym, missing more than I made. I swam in the pool, I played varsity baseball, and I wore the orange and black that you see here today on the baseball field. I wore it well. That was a joke. Students, I know what your friends and classmates think. That's important to you now. But every single adult in this room will tell you there's a lot of life beyond high school. And the formula to success it's not a secret, but it's not always easy. It requires sacrifices. Obviously, much less sacrifice than those World War II veterans that I mentioned earlier. But students, you need to think about the future and your consequences. You need to make good choices. You need to learn as much as you can. You need to work hard and believe in yourself and keep your life on track, because you can live your dreams. I am, and you can too. Thank you very much. Okay, that was the first hour. Now for the second. Now, it's my privilege and honor to introduce Senator Debbie Stabenow. I've known the senator, for at least almost 20 years. She has had a long, distinguished career in public service. She served as an Ingham County Commissioner, as a state senator, and as a United States representative. And she served in the United States Senate since the year 2000, and it's an honor to have her here today. Senator Stabenow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Thank you so much. It is so exciting to be here. I have to tell you that One of the biggest honors that I have as a United States Senator, and I know that Senator Levin feels the same way, is to have the opportunity to recommend to the President of the United States for key positions, key law enforcement and judicial positions. And I have never been more excited than the opportunity to recommend Pat Miles for this position. Isn't he going to be wonderful? It really is exciting and an honor as well to have our Attorney General with us. I have worked with Mr. Holder in a number of different distinguished positions over many years, and we really are very, very fortunate to have this man in this position at this time. And so thank you, Attorney General, for your service. Thank you very much. And to all of our friends and distinguished colleagues on the bench and those in the audience in the field of law and everyone that's here. I see the mayor here. I see wonderful, distinguished public servants that are here. It really is a day to celebrate. You know, it's interesting that the first U.S. attorney for the territory of Michigan was appointed in 1815. So I don't really see anyone that was here then. But maybe the mayor. No, not really. But it was split into two districts during the Civil War, and the Western District, of course, as Pat said, is a very large district geographically. And so it's significant that today we have another great legal mind and a man of tremendous integrity and enthusiasm and a great friend who is joining the ranks of very distinguished West Michigan U.S. attorneys over many, many years. Now, we talked about the fact that Pat was born and raised in West Michigan, and let me just say that, as you know, his roots are very, very deep. His dad, Patrick Sr., who's here, among many, many hats, worked at Steelcase, a very distinguished company, for many years. His mom, Shirley, worked as a teacher for 30 years in Grand Rapids. His mom and dad are, I know, so proud and have taught Pat and his sister Angie incredibly important lessons about hard work and integrity and service. And Pat reminded me backstage that when he and Angie were here growing up, he was Angie's brother growing up. And Angie said, "Yeah, but I'm Pat's sister now." So. And it's also important to note that he graduated at the age of 16. This is a young man who's been on the fast track because of his incredible hard work. He attended Aquinas College, going on to Harvard Law School, where he was editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Record. And while at Harvard, he then met his then school classmate, now our president. After graduating from Harvard, he returned to Grand Rapids, as we know, and started a law career and public service. Again, part of his roots and the value system instilled in him by his parents. He has proven, as we know, to be someone we can count on, someone who's honest, works hard, has great integrity, and this community, West Michigan, as well as his family, have molded him into the person that we are so proud of today. So it's very, very exciting for me to have the opportunity to not only have made the recommendation, but to be here to be able to celebrate someone that we know has and will continue to make us very, very proud. Congratulations, Pat.
There should be a address for the reception in your program. You are all invited to the reception, and since I am the last thing between you and the reception, I am going to call Mr. Foster forward to adjourn court. Mr. Foster.
Ladies and gentlemen, court is now adjourned. Congratulations, Mr. Miles.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.